Sean bienvenidos a este encuentro con uno de los mejores escritores de la época contemporánea, John Boyne, que ahora nos acompaña. Es propósito de la Feria Internacional de Libros de Guadalajara ser un espacio de intercambio y de reflexión crítica que propicie una reunión continua entre quienes leen y quienes escriben. Tal interacción es provechosa porque los lectores tenemos la oportunidad de escuchar directamente a los escritores, al tiempo que ellos cuentan con la valiosa oportunidad de encontrarse con el público más crítico, propositivo y enriquecedor, que en este caso son los jóvenes. En esta ocasión, como ya anticipé, contamos con la participación de John Boyne, un aclamado autor leído en todo el mundo, cuyos libros han despertado particularmente gran interés en la juventud. La característica más especial de su obra es la profunda huella reflexiva que deja en sus lectores. Sus obras se han traducido a múltiples idiomas y ha sido merecedor de diversos premios literarios. En síntesis, hoy nos encontramos frente a un hombre con plena vocación literaria y con una alta sensibilidad humana. Estoy seguro que el intercambio de opiniones entre ustedes y John Boyne será memorable y enriquecedor para todos los que participamos en este acontecimiento. Quiero, por último, agradecer que nos acompañe también en esta presentación el poeta argentino Jorge von de Vrieder, que nos va a hacer el favor de conducir este diálogo, hacer la presentación de nuestro invitado y, por supuesto, agradecer a la editorial Salamandra que hizo posible la presencia de nuestro aclamado escritor. Muchas gracias. Dejo la palabra a Jorge von de Vrieder.
Bueno, buenas noches, sean todos muy bienvenidos. Vamos a tratar de hacer que esta sala tan grande se transforme en el living de la casa de cada uno de nosotros y que podamos tener la experiencia de tener una charla relajada, distendida, en la cual espero ustedes participen. Yo voy a comenzar haciéndole algunas preguntas a John, a quien conocí en el día de ayer, por lo tanto tengo muchas cosas para preguntarle. Y lo que diría es que poco a poco me gustaría ir entregando la palabra a todos ustedes para que puedan charlar con él. Gracias al sistema de traducción simultánea no va a haber problema para que lo hagamos.
First of all, let me thank you all for coming here today and for the great support I think people in this part of the world have given me and given my novel, so I very much appreciate it. And I'm very glad to be here today to talk to you all. So to tell you a little bit about Dublin, well, Dublin is a city of rain, I think, is probably the first way I would describe it. It's quite nice to come here and be in sunshine for a change. It's a city of writers. We have a great literary heritage, I think, in Dublin. And in Ireland, we're a people who enjoy storytelling very much. And I think one thing which maybe distinguishes Irish writers or identifies them particularly is their love of story. I've always felt about my own books that they're not really very smart, but they're good stories. And I think that's kind of a good ambition to have in writing. It's a city I feel very much at home in. I was saying to somebody earlier that I've been fortunate to travel quite a lot the last few years with the book and the film, and I'm never really as happy as I am when I'm in my study, in my house in Rathfarnham, looking out at the birds feeding in the garden. It's a great place to live. It was a great place to grow up, and it's a place I always love going home to.
¿Y a qué te gustaba jugar cuando eras chico? ¿Qué tipo de juegos te gustaba hacer con tus amigos?
I wasn't, we were forced to play rugby, but I wasn't very good at it. I was always getting knocked over and always getting injured, and I didn't like it at all. I liked playing tennis. That was probably the game that I played the most.
¿Y cuándo llegaron los libros?
I can't really remember a time when there weren't books in my life, to be honest. I was very fortunate that my parents were both great readers and are great readers. If you go past my parents' house any day of the week, any afternoon, you'll probably see my mother sitting in the porch reading a book. We used to get a half day from school on a Wednesday, and part of our week was the Wednesday afternoon. First, my brother and sisters and I, first we would go and we had piano lessons to go to, and on the way home we would stop at the library, and every week get 2 or 3 books. And it was a huge part of the week for me. It was, I'm not so sure that, you know, my nephew and niece I don't think have that relationship with libraries that we had. We weren't poor, but we weren't able to buy books every week. But going there and choosing those books was, it was crucial. If you made a mistake, you weren't going to be back there for the next week, and you were stuck with something awful. So books always seemed like a great privilege to me. It always seemed exciting and fun, and you could choose your own books. You could be treated like an adult, even when you were 6 or 7 or 8 years old.
¿Qué clase de libros te gustaba leer? ¿Qué buscabas en los libros?
I liked books about boys my own age who would have adventures. There was a series of books. No one seems to have ever heard of them. Sometimes I wonder, have I made them up? I'm not sure. But there was a character called Bobby Brewster. And Bobby Brewster was a little boy that inanimate objects around him would come to life. And he would get into adventures with them. And I think there was like 10 or 12 books about this guy. And I used to love Bobby Brewster. I thought he was the greatest thing ever. And I always looked for books about kids my own age who maybe were isolated in some way. And you know, when I was 12 or 13, I started reading like David Copperfield and Nicholas Nickleby, and those books had a huge effect on me. The idea of a kid left entirely on his own in the world, who had to find some type of heroic element within himself, who had nobody to take care of him other than himself, but who would always come good in the end. I loved those books, and I still love those books. You know, whenever if I see a novel about a kid growing up, it's something that is always going to be interesting to me.
¿Y cuándo te diste cuenta que querías contar alguna historia, además de leerlas?
Again, I was writing from that very young age, from maybe 10 or 11 years old. What I used to do, and it sounds a little sad maybe, but I used to write stories at home and then bind them up and write my name on write my name here on the spine and put them on my parents' shelves. And there was a whole row of these stories, and I think even at 11 years old, I really liked the idea of not just the stories, but I love the physical nature of books. You know, I love picking them up and holding them and seeing what they look like. I was on a television program in Ireland last week, one of these kind of arts review shows, and we were reviewing, I don't know if you have them here, these electronic readers like the iPod, you know, but for books. And I was reviewing this and saying, you know, that's just awful because everything looks the same on them and you can't pick it up, you can't turn the pages, you can't touch the cover and smell it or lick it if you want, you know. It's I just like books as an artifact. So I don't really lick them, but so I used to put these sort of little books on the shelves of my parents' house, and I thought it was great, you know. And I don't know, is that sad or is it okay?